Welcome everybody to Glass Half Dead, and hello. But if you're a subscriber, a big double hello to you. If you want a double hello in the next video, subscribe now and leave a like and a comment. My central thesis in today's think piece is the playtesters of 9th edition are all wrong and Games Workshop is doing a terrible job of releasing the game. I see you've just downvoted the video, and that's fair. All I ask is that you listen to my reasons, and if I change your mind, you consider upvoting instead. Right, provisos first. I play Kill Team and have been creating in-depth content for it for the last 2.5 years. I know it pretty darn well. I have the best beginner guides for Kill Team on YouTube, the best rules breakdowns, and also have the best interviews with the top players where I can happily talk top tier tactics right alongside them. I also do the best Kill Team battle reports on YouTube in under half an hour. Check them out somewhere on screen now. What I'm saying is, I know things. However, I do not play 40k. I know the hobby, but all of the things that I'm about to say are from someone that is wanting to begin playing 40k 9th edition, has a knowledge of systems and lore and the retail treatment of 40k since 2nd edition. Let me highlight that point just one last time. I want to start playing 40k 9th edition. I want to use my YouTube channel, small as it may be, to help others get into the game. The more people that are into not just Warhammer, but the hobby in general, the better. So let's talk power creep and why playtesting for 9th hasn't worked and why that is actively turning me away from 9th edition. Maybe some of you will feel the same, or better yet, some of you could tell me I'm reading too much into it and should learn to worry less. Power creep first. Of course, we're working with imperfect information, but looking at Space Marines and to a lesser extent Necrons, but mainly Marines, they are the faction to beat. Their stats are getting boosted across the board, they can play in every role, they're fast, durable and killy, and some of their new units, Eradicators, are now auto-includes in every list, competitive and fluffy alike. Now, Games Workshop in past editions likes to power creep codexes. For those unfamiliar, what that means is that every codex that comes out is a little bit more powerful than the last. This creates a small feeling of FOMO among players who will keep jumping to new codexes as they continue an incremental increase in power because, hey, being a little bit overpowered is, let's be honest, kind of fun. I will go so far as to say that any codex in the past that released at the beginning of an edition has always ended up being underpowered by the end of the edition. That is definitely true since 5th edition, but I'm a bit hazy on 3rd and 4th. I wasn't really playing the game during those editions. Does that sound fair to you? Now, we've heard from playtesters that this edition will be different and power creep won't be a factor, and you know what? I'm fully willing to believe them. That's not sarcasm, that's just how my voice sounds. I'm genuine here. I believe that 9th edition is going to be a better edition than 8th in every way and will be more balanced based on playtesters saying as much. That means they have balanced 9th edition around the new Space Marine stats because they are balanced, as the playtesters say. So let's consider that for a moment. Games Workshop hasn't codex power creeped. They've edition power creeped. So every 9th army will be stronger than every 8th army. Totally fine, not a problem. Actually, I could happily argue that as a positive. Except, it will take them 2 years to get every army re-released. So we have to play with a wildly unbalanced edition for 2 years. Who is that fair to? Who is having fun with that? Who is thinking that's a good idea? I propose that if they power creep an entire edition, we need indexes again. Put a pin in that. Come back in a moment, okay? In a moment. Let's talk about playtesting. I've watched a bunch of interviews with the community playtesters, and I'm going to take what I've heard as true. They've said that 9th is a better and more balanced edition than 8th, and the codexes won't have power creep, unlike every other edition of 40k ever. I would genuinely accept that, especially as it seems like it's an edition level power creep instead of an army level power creep. Great. They're almost resetting everyone's power level. I'm okay with that. Make everyone more powerful, make the scale more granular, sounds super. The thing is, the playtesters were playtesting 9th edition, right? They were playtesting every army at its 9th edition power level. They weren't testing 9th armies versus 8th because that would be insane, who cares about that? They were playtesting the final version of 9th, which we are 2 years away from. If you're playing among friends and you're all playing the first few codexes that get released for 9th, then you're fine, this isn't a problem, of course. But what if you're a competitive player, or you have to play pickup groups against randoms down your local game store, or you have a guy in your playgroup that doesn't get a codex released for the next 2 years, as every one of you gets your more powerful codex, and they're left with a single build that only just barely stands a chance of not getting wiped out turn 2 by your 9th edition armies. That's a legitimate reason for someone to stop playing as the game becomes genuinely unfun. Even if you guys aren't power gamers, it'll happen. We've already seen it. The amount of negativity towards playing against Space Marines at the end of 8th, people aren't enjoying it, guys. I'm really not sure how anyone can be happy with how Games Workshop is releasing this edition. They're invalidating the fun of half the armies for up to 2 years. It's insane. Okay, now I am not even that deep into full 40k, as I said. I don't have a full army that's currently getting trashed every time I play. I mean, I will soon, and then you're going to see some real salt, let me tell you. But the knowledge of this disparity that I really don't see many people talking about is giving me serious 40k fatigue. I have 40k release fatigue and I don't even play it. I just pay attention. I want to play it, but seeing how horrifying it looks to not be playing a new faction, or Marines in general, let's be fair, I'm not sure I can motivate myself to do the hobby required to get me to playing the game. And as if that's not bad enough, even then, at the end of 2 years, we will only have the final version of 9th for a few months before we move on to the expansion books, similar to Psychic Awakening for 8th, and we start the power creep per army over again. Take a step back. It's great that Games Workshop has taken playtesting a bit more seriously for 9th. I really think that. It's a step in the right direction. I applaud them. Games Workshop, for all their faults, when they do something right, I want to say they have done this correctly. Good job. But who cares how well balanced the game is in 2 years' time for 3 months? I think we need to look at a new release system. I've complained a lot here, I realise, and I do accept that Games Workshop is faced with a bit of an impossible problem. How to balance an entire edition from day one when you have the business model that Games Workshop has found works for them. Now, it would be unfair for me to say all of this and then just end the video, so here is my alternative. I know it had its detractors, but I loved the indexes. Yes, a lot of armies lacked flavour, which we had to wait for the codexes to add, but it was a great stopgap measure. I love games that have the kill team rules release model. Of course, there are plenty of third-party games that use this as well, by the way. Don't be afraid to look outside of Games Workshop to have fun, I'm just saying. Everyone gets rules at the same time. For those unfamiliar, the kill team core book gave us the game. Then Commanders gave every single faction commanders at the same time. Then Elites released and gave every single faction new rules at the same time. Every faction got additional commanders, got sub-factions, got new units for regular play. I actually really do prefer that model. I get that maybe not everyone does, but in my opinion, for anyone that collects more than a single faction, it's a great system. And from Games Workshop's perspective, what happened to me will happen to a lot of other people. Because if I have every faction's rules to hand, I get interested in collecting other factions. For example, there's no way I would have ever touched Death Guard if I didn't have their rules in front of me. But I saw those nice little stats, the data sheets, and I was like, oh, hey, I might play me some Death Guard. Okay, this is the point downvotes are hitting me, isn't it? I can feel it. People outraged that I say they should buy books that includes rules for factions they don't collect. I'm going to be honest, I feel your seething hatred at this injustice and I just let it wash over me. I'm a rock in the shallow waters of your impotent rage. To summarise, playtesters have playtested a game that will never really exist for a compelling length of time, and Games Workshop has decided to make an edition level power creep without adjusting their business model, and I think it is bad for the game to the point that it is stopping me, someone who wants to get into the game, from starting to build an army. Which brings me to the final point. Fewer players in the hobby is bad for everyone, and relying on a new player's ignorance towards power creep and business practices is predatory and can only be taken in bad faith. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my think piece. I'm releasing these as a little stretching of my mental muscles until I get back to doing Kill Team tier lists and battle reports and talking about Warcast and Neo Mechanica. I also throw out to you that if you like fantasy books in general, check out my other channel, The Story Dragon, which now has nothing to do with Warhammer, but I am reviewing fantasy books. Link on screen somewhere, probably. And with that, this has been Glass Half Dead, and I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.